So, of course, you know our group is devoted to promoting Sephardic culture, and we have a special interest in that. Your previous assignment was as Deputy Chief of Mission at the Israeli Embassy in Athens, Greece, where, as our audience might know, the Greek Jewish community is mainly Sephardic or Romaniote. Before it suffered grievous losses in the Holocaust, the Jewish community was one of the largest and most important groups in Salonica, today's Thessaloniki. SHIN DC has done a number of programs regarding the Greek Jewish community and also Sephardic and Romaniote experiences of the Holocaust, including our annual Congressional Holocaust Commemoration, which the embassy has supported, which you mentioned earlier on. When you were the Deputy Chief of Mission in Greece, what kinds of engagement did you do related to the Greek Jewish community and also related to the Holocaust?
If you get me started talking about Greece, then, say goodbye to the rest of your time because I won't be able to stop. Greece is an amazing country. And in the past few years, the relationship and the cooperation between Greece and Israel, and also Greece, Israel, and Cyprus has just grown and grown. And I was fortunate enough to be there when this relationship began, and to get it to be part of the team that got it on its way and flourishing and growing. But also it included being there in a very difficult time of the economic crisis. But even in that time, the people of Greece were always very welcoming and very warm and very innovative, and were able to rise above and in this crisis and be able to cooperate with Israel and suggest things and see things that are for the benefit of both sides. And definitely one of those issues was in the cooperation with Israel, but in general for Greece itself, was facing the history of Greece, facing the history and the part, as you very rightly mentioned, the part of Jewish history in Greece. And it's just, it was amazing to watch. And if I would like to actually talk a bit more about Thessaloniki or Salonica, or the Jerusalem of the Balkans, as we all know it. And it's one percentage-wise, it's 92%. 92% of the Jews of Thessaloniki were murdered during the Holocaust. It's not the biggest number of Jews from a city in Europe, of course, but it's percentage-wise, it's the biggest percentage of a community that was wiped out. And the Jewish history, as you mentioned, in Thessaloniki was, went back hundreds of years during the Ottoman rule and after, and there were a huge part of the city. And when you go into the city today, and it started with Mayor Boutaris, who's no longer mayor, but I have to mention him, and the president of the Jewish community, David Saltiel, who came together, and worked together, and also, the embassy cooperated, and of course, different organizations in Israel, to bring the history of Thessaloniki back to Thessaloniki. And part of it means even putting street signs and saying where the Jewish market was and where the homes of the Jews were, and helping the Jewish museum expand, and renovating and rebuilding the Jewish synagogue there, which is now, it was beautiful before, but now it's even more beautiful and amazing. And having Prime Minister Netanyahu, come and speak there. And one of the things, and marking the trail of where the Jews were gathered, were gathered in the square and walking to the train station. And every year marking this with the mayor and with other dignitaries, walking this path to the train stations, marking the trains and the train stations. And one of the big things that they're doing, and it's still in the works, is that they're going to have a Holocaust memorial and education center in Thessaloniki. The Greek government is paying part of it. The municipality of Thessaloniki is paying part of it. The German government said they would assist. Yad Vashem is playing a role in here. And they're going to be building, and I think it's very correct, because many of the stories of the Jews of the Balkans, of the Jews of Northern Africa and others who joined or, were taken later in the years towards the end of the Holocaust towards the end of World War II, their stories are not as well known. And also number wise, it's, than the Jews of Germany or the Jews of Poland and other places in Europe. So I think what they're building there, and the fact that it's not just a memorial, it's going to be an education center as well, just shows how well they're dealing with it and trying to bring up the history with the issues, with what was good, what did we do to help, what did we not do to help, what was the story there, because Greece itself also went into a civil war almost immediately after World War II, and it suffered great losses for the Greeks, for the Greek Orthodox. Has nothing to do with the Jews. So the fact that they're now on their way of dealing with it, of talking about this, I think it's a beautiful, and I feel very fortunate to, that I was there in the beginning stages, and where things started, came from thoughts and ideas, and starting to see them come into fruition. And even now see it continuing despite, different crises, despite changes in governments in both countries, despite now the pandemic, things are still moving forward in remembering and reviving the history. And Yanina, and you mentioned Toshe Yanina, but Yanina is an amazing center of Jewish life, and is still going strong there with Miss Matzah, working in the synagogue and doing the tours about. So the fact that they're able to weave it into what's happening now, and they see the benefits for both countries for reviving this history, for telling people about this history, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful example. And of course, if we keep speaking about, at least I do, about different apps and technology, definitely Thessaloniki, but I think Athens as well, and perhaps Yanina now, if you're a tourist and you go there, and hopefully the skies will open up soon, you can have apps that, give you walking tours throughout the city and tell you of, what was in Jewish history and the point where you're standing. And I think it's amazing.